Friday, the 26th of May 2023. I'm Joram Ssonko in here with Winnie Wiza Nakauchi for the sign language interpretation. With us, a look at our top stories. In our headlines tonight, the construction of the highly anticipated Kampala-Jinja Expressway is set to commence after expected complete land acquisition by July 2023. Instead of Uganda's debt to GTP, Uganda's debt burden worries Ugandans as it stands at 80 trillion shillings, causing implications for borrowing to finance the financial plan. And also, the inquiry into expired courses has been suspended. Due to legal concerns, the Parliamentary Committee on Education suspended its inquiry on the topic of expired courses. All right, now we kick it off with innovative partnerships that have commenced. The construction of the highly anticipated Kampala-Jinja Expressway is set to commence after expected complete land acquisition by July 2024. This ambitious project is a public-private partnership, with government committing about 400 million shillings and private sector about 800 million shillings for the project. Bronia Katosime reports.
According to National Transport and Logistics Policy 2021, Uganda highly depends on road infrastructure for passenger and cargo movement. Road transport is the most dominant mode, carrying over 96.5% of the country's goods and about 95% of passenger traffic at June 2019. Construction of Kampala-Jinja Expressway will bring enormous long-term benefits to the regional, national and local economies, where government has contributed about 400 million shillings and private sector about 800 million shillings. Nevertheless, there are risks associated with constructing an expressway through a settled community with potentially advanced social, environmental and economic impacts.
Project of this magnitude, it is a huge project in trillions of Uganda shillings, but can actually fail if we fail in the component of how the people are affected.
Because this is a PPP project, which means government brings in money and the private sector brings in some money. Our government has committed a contribution to the project of about 400 million, which is going to be got from our development partners. And the private sector is going to contribute the other part, which is about 800 million. For the part for government is secure.
Honorable Echeru Francis, State Minister for Works and Transport, has revealed that Kampala-Jinja Expressway is a reality and that resources involved have been worked upon, and henceforth UNRA will be working on compensating those that are likely to be affected by the project works.
The land acquisition in Uganda continues to pose a major socio-economic, environmental and political challenge to the development planning and implementation agenda of government programs and activities.
As progress takes shape, careful planning is underway to ensure proper compensation for individuals affected by the construction. On the other hand, representatives from various constituencies whose people are likely to be affected by the project have thanked government and UNRA for compensation agenda, but also called upon government to ensure just payment, and it should come in on time.
Assuring us that people with no legal, those that are not legally recognized as per the law will be compensated. Those in informal businesses, those without land titles, etc., they will be compensated. That is very good. We appreciate that. But however, this is what we are saying. The compensation should be just, it should be fair, it should be able to reinstate them in a good life after they have left where they have been.
And begin, of course, the one area I also need to warn is not to be conservative, that everybody must be given a land. There you will have a rebellion. Let them give them either land or the value. There are people who want to return where they came from, others who want to come to Kampala and do business, others who... So let them just calculate the value. For those who are extremely vulnerable that cannot even relocate themselves, yes, you can give them land.
Since 2016, UNRA has been undertaking land acquisition in line with updated resettlement action plan for the project activities undertaken involving collecting baseline socioeconomic data and valuation of affected properties. The general approach for land acquisition was based on methodology approved by Office of Chief Government Valuer in 2017, structured in accordance to national laws with guidelines for compensation and assessment for land acquisition, which is no different to this project. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Well, Uganda's debt burden worries Ugandans as it stands at 80 trillion shillings, posing implications for borrowing to finance the financial budget. State Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Amos Lukolobi, says there is need to grow the country's GDP and maintain the commitment of the country's 50% in order to reduce the debt portfolio. We have details.
Uganda's public debt is set to increase from the current 48.4% to 53.1% in the financial year 2023, according to the approved budget for the financial year 2023-2024 by the Parliament of Uganda. For a debt to be sustainable, particularly for developing countries, of which Uganda is part, International Monetary Fund says it must not exceed 50% of the country's gross domestic product, GDP, and Uganda has made its commitment to maintain it. The State Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Amos Lukolobi, says that Uganda needs to raise money to finance the budget, largely through revenue and non-tax revenue. However, resources are less than what the country requires to finance the entire budget, including financing the debt portfolio, which creates a physical deficit.
We curtail our appetite so that the budget does not increase astronomically, and we have tried to do that in order to reduce the fiscal deficit. But at the same time, we need to grow our GDP, because the ratio you are talking about is the debt to GDP ratio, and the sustainable level has to be maintained at 50%. We have not yet hit that ceiling in nominal terms. We are now hovering around 48%. But the point I'm making here is we have to keep it within those sustainable levels according to our Charter of Fiscal Responsibility. We have made that commitment that we shall maintain it below 50%. And how do we do that? By growing our GDP.
Over the medium term, external debt payments have projected to increase due to the increase in commercial loans over the last few years. Interest payments are projected to amount to 6.135 trillion shillings, equivalent to 2.5% of GDP. Of this, 5.227 trillion shillings are projected for domestic interest payments, while 907.9 billion shillings will be foreign interest payments and commitment fees. Most of the government borrowing is for investment in infrastructure. In addition, Government of Uganda has made interventions intended to accelerate GDP growth, mainly in energy resources and minerals to raise it.
And energy sector, the interventions are the undertaking to ensure that we have more capacity within the energy and mineral sector.
Furthermore, Engineer Ziria Wako says that most of the revenues come from electricity, industries, and value addition. Engineer Ziria Wako also reveals that they have a strategy that they are implementing, starting with large customers who are in steel and housing, so they can contribute to the tax base, create more jobs, and contribute to the GDP of the country.
For example, the steel rolling, the products are inputs to the housing sector of the country. Others are engaged in value addition to our raw agriculture products. And because of this, the more we focus on affordability for manufacturers and industries, the more we create jobs, the more we add value to our raw products as a country, and the more we increase revenue not only for the sector, but also contribution to the tax base, and the more we speak to the improved or increased GDP and socio-economic transformation of the country.
Given the planned unwinding of crisis measures and implementation of fiscal consolidation, Uganda's public debt continues to be sustainable in the medium term. Uganda has a moderate risk of external and overall public debt distress with limited space to absorb shocks. Nevertheless, stress tests highlight breaches of external debt burden, especially in relation to export shocks. Specifically, given a medium shock could lead to a breach of external debt service indicators, Uganda has limited space to absorb those shocks. Samuel Chirumunda, Mase Katsime for Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, moving on, we look at the inquiry into the expired courses that has been suspended. Due to legal concerns, the Parliamentary Committee on Education suspended its inquiry on the topic of expired courses. The committee, which was prepared with witnesses from the Ministry of Education and the National Council of Higher Education, was issued a paper from the Speaker signaling the suspension of parliamentary proceedings for the second session of the 11th Parliament. We have details.
On Wednesday this week, Parliament Committee on Education was tasked to meet officials from Ministry of Education together with National Council of Higher Education to investigate matters surrounding the expired university courses as well as looking into the implementation of the lower secondary curriculum. Today, as both sides were getting ready to have the meeting, they were issued with a document from the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Wong, suspending all sittings and sessions of the second session of the 11th Parliament.
Honourable Speaker, after consultation with the President, and prorogue Parliament by a proclamation, and that one was done yesterday. So in short, there was a prorogation yesterday, and after that one is done, the sitting and all the sittings and the session of Parliament comes to an end. But that one does not mean that Parliament has been dissolved. So all the activities that are supposed to take place have to wait for the next session.
According to the committee chairperson, they understand the relevancy and the urgency of the matter on university programs, but the law is clear and they assure the country that it will be the first item handled when the third session of the 11th Parliament kicks off.
And we are handling two issues. The first of the issue that we are handling is the issue of the implementation, to get the progress report on the implementation of the lower secondary curriculum. As the country is aware, the lower secondary curriculum, the secondary curriculum for the O-level was reviewed to provide for vocational occupations so that our children are able to acquire skills that can put them in the world of work in case they are not able to proceed, or to create for them a pathway for them to smoothly join the TVET institutions. So, but there were interruptions according to the reports we are getting at Parliament. Then secondly, as you are aware, we also had issues which were received at Parliament concerning courses and programs accredited by National Council of Higher Education that were alleged to have expired.
Minister Jesse Muyingo has also emphasized that whereas the matter above is of great concern to everyone, they respect the law. The minister adds that Ugandans shouldn't be worried about the so-called expired courses because all these courses are still under review.
The nation the other day that there is nothing like expired academic programs. It's as if you are saying that we have expired knowledge. You know, knowledge doesn't expire. What is happening, the word expired means that there is that particular program needs to be reviewed. As you are aware, Uganda, we've been producing our products from our universities, from Tertiary Institutions Act universities. We've always been proud of them because of the quality and the relevance of the academic programs. So it is a requirement, evaluation, reassessment, which National Council for Education is calling upon.
On the other hand, the legislators on the Education Committee expressed their disappointment with the suspension of today's meeting because they had urgent matters to handle. According to Honorable Ibwalu Jonathan, apart from the expired courses, Ministry of Education blundered on the new lower secondary curriculum because most of the teachers were not trained and they definitely don't know what to teach students.
The biggest percentage of teachers were not trained on the implementation of the new curriculum all over the country. So why do you go ahead to roll out the program well aware that the teachers were not trained? That is number one. Number two, the instruction materials were not distributed to all the schools, but the program is going ahead. Number three, the 80,000 shillings that was supposed to be paid by the DIT for the examination was not explained to the schools. So the schools and the teachers are gambling. Some of the teachers were trained a long time ago, and now that they have not been trained in new curriculum, what are they going to implement? So what the teacher has is what the teacher imparts on the children. So if the teacher doesn't know what the new curriculum is, what is the teacher going to impart on our children? Issue number four, the schools are teaching using the two curriculums. That is the old and then the new curriculum for lack of guidance. They are teaching both the new and the old curriculum because they do not have guidance.
Yesterday, Parliament closed the second session of the 11th Parliament and sent legislators for a 2-week recess to prepare for the State of Nations address by His Excellency the President of Uganda on the 7th of June and the budget reading on the 14th of June. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni has criticized the selling of electricity at 8.5 US cents a unit, which he says is expensive if it is to fulfill its intended purpose, where he urged developers to lower the price so that people can escape poverty. A comprehensive strategy that strikes a balance between the needs of manufacturers and the sustainability of the energy sector is being developed. But first, industry representatives, experts and other pertinent parties are being consulted. We have details.
The manufacturing sector faces significant challenges due to high tariff rates. This results in elevated production costs and diminished competitiveness on both domestic and international fronts. President Museveni emphasized the necessity of reducing tariffs to aid local manufacturers attract foreign investments and stimulate economic growth while creating job opportunities. During the commissioning of the 14-megawatt hydropower plant in Uganda, the president emphasized the need for a manufacturing sector tariff of 5 cents per unit, citing the cost of production at dams like Karuma and Isimba at 4.8 cents and Bujagari decreasing from 13 cents to 8.3 cents per unit.
This price of 8.5 cents per unit is not a Christian idea. What can we do about this eventually? How can we bring it down? Because we are insisting that power, especially for manufacturing, should be about 5 cents. For nightclubs, I don't mind. It can go to 8 cents and so on. But so what do you say about the cost? Because when we build dams with the Chinese, like the Karuma you are hearing about, the production cost is 4.8 cents. Karuma, the one the minister was talking about, 4.8 cents. Isimba, 4.8 cents. Because we need cheap electricity, especially for manufacturing.
In February of this year, Minister of Energy held a meeting with manufacturers to address the same issue, and they reached an agreement on a phased reduction of the tariff, which will be announced by the regulator in the near future.
Directive which I have been planning to implement, a directive from the President to supply power to the industrial parks at 5 US cents. This cannot be done abruptly, because it will cause some shortfall, and my system or my industry is a self-reliant industry. I sell electricity to survive. So I cannot implement the directive abruptly, and I have been working with the president on this. So we are reducing slowly, and very soon the regulator who is mandated to reduce, to announce tariffs, will be announcing a tariff that will not be 5 US cents, but a tariff that will be moving towards achieving the president's directive.
When Smart 24 TV contacted the Electricity Regulatory Authority, we were informed that they are currently engaged in discussions with various stakeholders to address the issue at hand. These discussions aim to find a solution by conducting a thorough analysis of the potential consequences on revenue generation, the energy sector as a whole, while ensuring the long-term viability of the power supply.
It's work in progress. We are doing stakeholder engagements with the relevant stakeholders to try to understand how we may certainly, that requires, wherever you take money away from, there must be somebody who fills the gap. So it's a process where we're doing consultation with finance, parliament, the presidency, manufacturers themselves. It's a consultative process that is ongoing, and when it's ready, we'll let you guys know. You see, everything is possible. It just depends on how you do it. Ideally, what gives way? If there is nothing that gives way, then you creatively ask yourself, what can I use as a substitution? That means that if you're giving manufacturers 5 cents, okay, and the weighted average cost of generation is beyond that, it means that there must be a subsidy that comes from somewhere. There must be money that comes from somewhere to fill that gap, to be able to buy down the price for manufacturers, or there must be something that you pull out in the costing process, make sure the price comes down. That's why I told you it's a consultative process that we are very actively engaged in, and once ready, we'll let you know.
Her Excellency Samia Suluhu also emphasizes that accessible electricity will contribute to closing the communication gap and promoting regional integration.
This power is going to bridge the communication gaps, as has been just said by the minister, that there are going to be connections, and so communication gaps are going to be bridged between the urban and the rural settings.
The proposed tariff reduction, if implemented successfully, is expected to provide a significant boost to Uganda's manufacturing sector, attract new investments, and foster an environment conducive to innovation, job creation, and economic development. The government's commitment to supporting the manufacturing industry through favorable policies such as tariff reductions underscores its dedication to driving Uganda towards becoming a vibrant industrial hub in the region. Renana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Well, youth startups are to fly to Morocco. This is after the Youth Startup Academy Uganda entrepreneurs are set to showcase their startups at the GTEx Africa 2023 in Marrakesh, Morocco. The event that will take place from the 31st of May to the 2nd of June will bring together tech enthusiasts, startups, investors, and industry leaders from across the globe. Pedison Mumbere reports.
Entrepreneurs from the Uganda Youth Startup Academy will be showcasing their businesses at GTEx Africa 2023 in Marrakech, Morocco. By participating in GTEx Africa, Uganda Youth Startup Academy positions itself as a pivotal player in the region's digital transformation journey. According to Rita Ngenzi, the National Coordinator, Youth Startup Academy, this will offer startups networking opportunities and powerful connections to access funding.
Some of the low-hanging fruits is the direct access to investors. We know that access to capital is one of the key challenges of the ecosystem, and so having a space that brings all of these global players together, global investors together, and having our startups at the forefront means that we're giving them the direct access that would have alternatively not been as easy to access, and so through that the pathway to investment becomes a lot easier to navigate.
We are super happy being part of the Youth Startup Academy Uganda, because if it wasn't this program, ISEMAT wouldn't have made it to the GTEx Africa, which is happening in Morocco this year. And our expectations from the program is that we are looking forward to network and collaborate with other agri-tech entrepreneurs across Africa who are leveraging digital technology to support smallholder farmers and make sure that we feed the increasing population and even those who will come in the future.
The event will attract over 900 exhibiting tech companies and startups, 30 government delegations, 250 global investors. JTEX Africa showcases its commitments to empowering young entrepreneurs and amplifying their impact within the innovation ecosystem.
The focus areas in Morocco are basically one, to convince investors to invest in us. That is number one priority, but also looking for opportunities to create partnerships that are going to enable us to grow and expand across the globe. Partnerships such as research, we're looking at partnerships in terms of opportunity to scale into other markets, partnerships in terms of resources.
We have a set of meetings with investors, so that's exciting for any startup that wants money to better build its ideas, because there are so many ideas we haven't yet implemented that need money. Next, we are meeting other businesses because it's a B2B event. So by meeting other startups in the health sector, I'll be learning from them what are the best practices and what are things I shouldn't do. So I believe that I'll be learning from the best and they'll save me some time and mistakes.
JTEX Africa, under the high patronage of His Majesty King Mohammed and in partnership with the Moroccan Ministry of Digital Transition, is set to become the largest tech and startup show in the African continent and the largest in East Africa and South Asia. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV Business Today.
Well, we return with more Business Today immediately after the break. Stick around with us. You're still watching Business Today.